Perfect. Okay. There we go.
How's that?
Yeah, that's set for about
up
15 minutes.
minutes.
My ambulance ride. So they loaded me in the ambulance in San Francisco at 9 o'clock. My very first ambulance ride, they did the whole ride from here to San Francisco in 51 minutes. And
You were spoiled.
So last night, they never said, it had to be an hour and a half. Because what they did was they loaded me in the ambulance and we took off. And these guys, I don't know where they're from, but they actually went down 19th Avenue, down Parnassus, down 19th. It's kind of a long way. And we go that way because we don't know where we're going. They went that way because they didn't know where they were going.
They were from South San Francisco.
One was Brazilian. We know that.
Is it intentional to have your nose thing in just one nostril?
No.
Okay, do you want it in both?
Jeez.
He prefers it that way.
Yeah, I can breathe this.
Okay.
And when I'm talking, I need it because I run out of oxygen. When I get slower, it's kind of like Steve Reeves, grab some air and chat. Grab some air and chat. Anyway, we get partway down 280, and they're doing blood pressures, EMT and stuff, and my pressure's dropping. So my blood pressure hits 80 over something, and they want the nearest emergency room.
Those wimps.
They got directions not to stop.
No, they radioed in, they got Los Gatos Community Hospital. And I said, I'm going to Santa Cruz. And somehow you got in, dear. How'd you get in there?
Because I took both of them aside before you left and explained that they were going to Santa Cruz and that what happened.
Okay.
We were going to meet you.
Okay, that's why they were nervous. And then they did my blood pressure again, and it was up to 110 over 80. And I said, you probably upset me enough. And now you don't need to stop in Los Gatos, do you? No.
Perfect.
So we're driving along. We hit the Highway 17 construction project.
Oh, yeah.
We're stuck there for minutes. And I'm thinking, now I'm never going to get to Santa Cruz. What's wrong here? And everybody's stuck there, apparently. I mean, Gene was stuck there, other people. So we get on down 17 around the fish room. We're on Highway 1, and they don't know where the Soquel exit is. Correctly pronounced Soquel. And they decided there's two of them. There's a Soquel Avenue and a Soquel Drive. And they don't know which one the hospital is, because on their map, the hospital doesn't say one or the other. I started to tell them where to go, but they were all chatting about the directions. So eventually I heard one of them say, well, there's 2525. I know that's the medical clinic, the medical foundation building. And I said, you're going the wrong way. You're on Soquel Avenue, and you need to be on Soquel Drive. If you turn around and go the other way, until you see a big orange ball with a 76 on it in the sky, the hospital's right across the street from that gas station. So they come down here and it was coming over the ridge. And I said, that ball should be right in front of you. Oh yeah, there it is, Mr. Walker. And one of them says, oh, there's a Dominican hospital sign. Then they don't know where to go. I have a room number. I'm not in emergency delivery. And they're trying to figure out where to park the ambulance. And I could see they've driven around the front lobby area. Well, they decided to go to the ambulance entrance anyway. And went around the ambulance entrance and brought me to this room.
Well, that's the new one. That's the one they were paving last time you were in here.
Yeah.
Till 11 o'clock at night and kept you awake.
Oh, man, that was
And you got here, and you were hurting,
hurt a lot.
and they hadn't written the orders.
No. And I was in terrible pain. And the nurse kept saying, we have to have orders, we have to have orders.
We must have our orders.
Yeah, and I was saying, then get them, Just get them and give it to me,
But
They don't do...
It to, while they were deciding how to do the rest of
And so the palliative doctor came this afternoon, and I never even knew there were palliative doctors. His job is death and dying. And his options are, I can't stay here unless something happens. I have a medical necessity. And so I don't want a medical necessity. And then the other options are a nursing home in West Santa Cruz, which I don't want to go to, home, which I can't get to, and back to Frederick Street. They have
Rehab.
2 units. They have rehab and they have acute care. And their acute care is as if you were in a nursing home or something like that, but it's a much better acute care because my needs are so special. I need soft diet. They'll do that. At home, it'd be very difficult to put all my food in a blender to serve it to me. At a nursing home, I need diabetic blood sugar checks, regulation, before and after meals, all of that. I could do that at home, but it would be difficult again for 24/7. Somebody has to be doing that. And we can hire somebody to come and do it, a home care people. But
The hospice doesn't work at night.
and I'm going to have additional difficulties. They're going to keep upping the morphine until I essentially, they're keeping me in that window of conscious yet pain-free. At some point, that conscious window is going to end and I will go unconscious. And they have instructions, don't revive me, no respirators, and to jumpstart me into pads, which again at home would be difficult to have.
So you do want a jump start
Yes.
if you need it?
If I need a jump start. I don't want anything that's going to leave me a vegetable, and I don't want another ventilator.
So the jump start either works or it doesn't. But the ventilator destroys your quality of life
Right.
altogether.
Right.
As does a tray.
You can't talk.
Okay.
No train. That was given in San Francisco. They put a ventilator in, but no train. And I can't talk. To me, that's fatal.
Yeah.
Carl, while we're on the subject, are there any other video records that you would like to have? Just things that, in case a lawyer asks someday or anything like that, is that a subject that we want to cover now? You've talked a little bit about your advance directives and your wishes.
Yeah.
We're here.
We're here.
Well, what they're going to do, what palliative doctors do, in Oregon, you just can use euthanasia. It's illegal in California.
To do what?
Euthanasia.
Ah.
To work in the center over there. But what they will do is keep me drugged and unconscious. And their experience is once that happens, they will up the dose of morphine, and I have 2 to 3 days. It won't be extended, dragged out.
But the point is that you're going to wait until you actually lapse into unconsciousness.
Yes. Yeah, I do not want any more ventilation. And if something should happen, another event, where I would lose my quality of life, especially mentally. I was teased in San Francisco. You know, my brain is one of my good parts that's left. And it's unfortunate because I know everything that's going on. If I had a stroke, I'd be there to go, I wouldn't know crap. Here I am later, I know what's going on, and I can't do anything about it. The things that bothered me before this happened, I was concerned about, was Jeannie. Leaving her alone, number one. Just, we've had such a good life together, and it's been a wonderful roller coaster for almost 37 years.
Never boring.
And she's not had an employment where I think she would earn an income. Not that she can't do it. I mean, I'm sure she can get a job almost anywhere now. But now I know between my life insurance, her mother's estate, my life insurance is maxed with IBM, and then there's another policy, a 10K, there's a $500 death benefit from the Veterans Administration.
What flag?
And it's like, we were laughing about that earlier. Because I'm 100% disabled, veteran, service connected, I am entitled to a Marine Honor Guard. And that means in the dress blues with the red and white hats and everything, they would march down. And Seacliff is where I wanted to be buried at sea.
Seacliff, okay.
So they would march down, do the 21-gun salute, a jet would fly over her, and a guardsman would play taps. And if there were a coffin, as they're lowering it, the Marine Guardsmen would pick out their rifles and fold the flag and give it to my spouse. Well, we don't want any guns. Certain they won't let you shoot guns at Seacliff by the fear.
Well, not with the sea lion.
And we really don't want to fly over that low, with a jet at high speed. There's one to fly over, they fly towards where it is, and they shoot straight into the sky. It symbolizes a spirit going to heaven, and that's not what we want to see. So, Jean's hoping she can just get a bugler to play tap and a flag. A one-man honor guard. I said, if all 7 show up to do, so what? It's 6 for the coffin and 1 for the bugler.
Invite him to the wake.
That's a good idea. Great idea. So, the burial plans for eternal lawyers, whatever. Judy has lined up a boat with John Gideon is a boat captain of Lost Landing Boat Tours. And I first met him, there was an article about his new business a few years ago in the Atlas Times. And I phoned to ask if they had seen that article and that Gene and I wanted to ride on a tour. And no, they had not seen the article, and so I folded it up, mailed it to them. And Jan sent me back a really neat thank you note on the back of a postcard. And it turns out that was his photograph. And on the back of the postcard, he had written nice thank you and everything. And the actual picture was a sea otter. And it's a sea otter we saw when we took the cruise. It hangs around in Lost Landing in the slough, and it follows his boat around. It's almost like a trained otter, And he is going to get a bigger boat, borrow a bigger boat, and he's ex-Navy, and he will drive his boat with some people on it to Seacliff Beach off the cement ship. And you have to be 500 yards out. And so that they will bury my ashes at sea. And anyone that does like boats, Gilchrist does not like boats.
But
He can stand the fear.
No, he's getting on the boat. He said he will stand next to me on the boat.
He did?
He will not feel well, but he will be there.
He did, really.
Yes, he did.
Well, that's sacrifice.
Before he went to,
That's the ultimate
yes, it
sacrifice.
is, because he loves you.
He does. Yeah. Well, anyway, anybody else who doesn't fit in a boat, doesn't want to be in a boat, whatever, can watch from the pier.
I thought he threw up.
And I would anticipate a lot of people. Docents, Toastmasters.
what would you like to say to that assembled crowd?
It's been a wonderful roller coaster of a life. I've enjoyed it incredibly. And you have to make each day count. You don't know how many you have. Mine have come to an end, and I've enjoyed them. Petty fights, family fights, they aren't worth it in the grand scheme. Words of wisdom are, like I was saying earlier, 36 years of marriage, your wife is never wrong. Your wife is never wrong. Your wife is never wrong. Those are the first 3 rules. It follows it. Do what your wife says.
Everything else follows.
Yeah. I want more time, but we all know we have limited time. And I don't know specifically what I would do with more time. I just want more time. I have enjoyed life, and I'd like to continue. You know the story of, I told everyone, when I had kidney failure, I was going to commit suicide. And when I was actually at the place and time ready, with 2-inch insulin.
And how would you have done it again?
2-inch insulin.
Just set the fuel pump on high and let it crank.
I was going to have my Togo's beef burger and a large Coke, and I was at the summit of 17, and set the insulin pump on high.
And you had a place for this, and you were all set to do it, right?
Summit of 17. Suicide nullifies a whole lot of things. It would have to appear that I was suddenly hungry, had a low blood sugar, stopped to eat, and pulled over. And I didn't see a detectable way to prove suicide. And I started it, I was all ready, I ate my sandwich, and thinking about it, I still had too much to live for. And at that time, I ruled out suicide, and I've done everything I can to stay alive since that day. Most people die of this fungus in 3 days, 72 hours. And I've managed to go for 3 months.
And it fooled them at first.
Yeah,
They said that what's it called?
Mucormycosis.
Mucormycosis?
Yeah.
That, it couldn't be that because usually they're dead in 72 hours.
Yeah. And I was still alive. Here I am, still alive. But, I was on the experimental drugs. I was on IV drugs. I was on oral drugs. And I still am for infections, bacteria, and viruses. But it's the fungus. This fungus is what kills AIDS patients. Their immune systems get so wiped out, the fungus moves in and takes them out.
And it's a fungus that's all around us all the time,
All the
right?
time. Most people find it out usually. So, they thought they were rid of it. They did a nasal biopsy. It was reduced, and there's no way to be sure it was gone. But the thing they said was, if it's not gone, it will settle in your brainstem. And there's nothing they can do. And yesterday afternoon they came to my bedside and Dr. Tom Lanovich said there's nothing we can do. What do I want? Here I am. This is what I want. And to me, Santa Cruz is home. Anywhere in Santa Cruz. I mean, what I want would be to go body surfing. I haven't done that in 8 years. What I would want would be to run down the street. I haven't done that in 10 or 12. What I would want is to stay alive. We're all terminal in many ways. But it's been a good life. Really good life. The therapist and the palliative doctor and the chaplain were all asking me, what kind of regrets do I have? I don't feel any need to kneel at my bedside and repent from all those gambling sins and infidelities and stuff. I don't have those. I've never been what would you say, infallible, when you're screwed outside your marriage.
A floozy, unfaithful. Let's go
Unfaithful.
through our list. Okay, everybody, a few vocabulary synonyms for unfaithful, adultery.
I've never been unfaithful to Jeannie. I still like Playboys and things, but I've never been unfaithful to her. It's kind of weird we came up with a long time ago. Well, she doesn't see it, and she has it. Just look, don't touch. And I've come to that. I have not knowingly committed a crime, except for speeding. And that's not crime, that's driving. So I think if there is a good place, I think I'm going to it, I hope. If there's no place, this is it. Scientifically, I don't think there is a place, but I'm about to find out whether there is or not. Like Mars, I think I'm spiritual, but not religious. And, it works for me.
So Marge's last words weren't, "I need a priest."
Yeah,
They were, "I need to make a speech."
yeah, yeah. And ironically, she and I have had battles and fights, some kinds of problems over the years that the jokers and I have talked about some of them, and May and I, the therapist and I, have talked about some of them. And it was ironic that to me, she said, "I've always loved you." Like, no matter what we've done to each other, whatever in the past, I honestly love you. That means a lot to me.
Well, is this enough for now, Carl? Do you want to stop for a while? Or do you want, is there
I'd
anything
like
else you
say
want to make sure?
something more meaningful, less observational of scientific things, and more about my life. Judy was talking about me writing my obituary.
What are some of the things you want to put in that obit?
I was born on March 27th of 49 in Ottawa, Illinois, just outside Chicago. My family were devout Catholics. I had a little brother that I was watching when he fell in a pit in front of our home. And I was 7 years old, the little brother was 3, and he was killed. And I was berated by my parents and the townsfolk because I was supposed to be watching him. After some counseling, I realized you don't put a 7-year-old in charge of a 3-year-old. You just don't. But it was a sense of responsibility that's affected me the whole rest of my life. So I left home at 18 and enlisted in the Navy and never expected to go back. And when I got married at 20, my parents actually came out, my family came out. And my wedding present was a mass card. My mother had had some masses set for her 2 dead sons. The one that was killed when I was very young, and me. And that kind of sealed it for me. But 20 years later, they can't get it. So, Gene and I was in the Navy, we got married. We got out of the Navy, went to UC Santa Cruz. That's where we met you and some other people. And it was enjoyable, except that we were so poor at the time. But I think back to, we would fry out kidney because it was cheap at the time. And make these cheese sandwiches with kidney and cheese and bread. It was really, they were good times still, even though it was rough. Got my master's degree at UCSC in '79.
In what?
Master's degree in biology in 1979.
What was your thesis about?
Protein degradation in starvation and diabetes. And we found a lot of similarities between a starved rat and a diabetic rat. And a normal rat and a rat that was well controlled on insulin. And it led to some more research that a well-controlled rat on insulin doesn't develop some of the complications in theory. But it needed a lot more just to be insulin. And then went to work at the winery Dublin wine cellars.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, I needed more jobs. It was only part-time there, so I also drove apple trucks in Watsonville. I worked at a mushroom plant, Monterey Mushrooms. I worked in Pescadero at the oyster plant. And they were all part-time jobs, very low-paid jobs. And there was a statement at the time, if you want a neat career is biology. And you can make a lot of money as a biologist doing painting, carpentry, plumbing. Just get yourself a pickup truck and some tools. And then I went to work at Cabrillo as a security guard. And that's when I met Jim Gilchrist. He had just been a security guard while he was working on his law exam. And he passed his bar exam up here. And I had settled into being a security guard pretty much. And writing parking ticket system. And Jeannie started writing parking tickets. So I was riding around with her in this Jeep at night while she was writing tickets. She'd park on the streetlights, and I was studying more about the wine industry, learning more about it. Then, and I went from there to John Barker was recent chief of police. He got himself through the police academy, then Gilchrist, and then me, and then a few other people. And we became a police department, full-fledged police department. And I did that until 1988, when I was at a meeting. I was doing precinct levels of safety, hazardous materials, kinds of things that was becoming an issue, and I was already employed, had some skills. Gene and I were at a meeting in San Jose, and a person from IBM was asking for job applications, and I thought it's not me, but Gene kicked me under the table. She's always done this to me. Things I think are goofy or impossible, she helps me do it. And I got the job at IBM after a couple of weird months of interviews and things. Not even for the job I applied for. And I was at IBM from when the earthquake happened here in '89. I was at an ocean school in Chicago, displays Illinois, learning about fire safety. Then they sent me to electrical safety. What they said was I was educated, I had a skill level, I got along well with people, I even had a beard and I had law enforcement experience. I could get compliance out of those researchers who are Nobel Prize winners and stuff, just better than other people. The typical safety guy comes in, lays down the law. I did better than that. And they would teach me the other stuff I needed. I went to an electrical inspector school for the city of San Jose, and I am a certified electrical inspector for the city of San Jose. So that when new equipment came on site at Almaden, I would inspect it and put my sticker on it. And usually we had to change the wiring. Their colors were off. So that our people, maintenance people, would know where the ground was and from which line was hot. They knew my color. Japanese and British people use different schemes. And it's part of the really neat roller coaster ride. They sent me for almost a month to Orlando for a fire code update for me. It was a new thing. Every 2 years the fire code changes. And we went to Epcot Center. Jeannie had a month in Orlando to do whatever she wanted. There was a little boat that rowed us over to the east side over to see the fireworks and stuff. And through IBM, we've been in almost every major city in the U.S. That's where it's going to. We haven't been to Atlanta. But we've been like Seattle, Boston, Denver, Florida, you name it, we've been to Chicago several times, Anaheim a couple times. It's been wonderful. And then I went on disability September 4th of 98. That's when I had kidney failure. And that's when I told everybody I was going to commit suicide. That's the day I decided I had too much more to live for. Even if I couldn't go back to work, no matter what, there was more life. My primary concern again was, that I would end up being a burden. She would have to drive me to dialysis 3 times a week, 5 hours a day. And it was hard. Just seeing dialysis patients go downhill, amputations and deaths was standard. I managed to keep both legs. So after 9/11, 2001, I wrote my family a letter. I said I'm dying, essentially. And my brother phoned 2 weeks later and said, I want to give you one of my kidneys. And 6 months after that, July 25th, he flew out. He'd had a bunch of testing there in Chicago. He flew out and we did the operation. And that's
This was
why I
in
was
2002, right?
That's why I've lived since 2002. It's because of my little brother. He's bigger than I am, but he's younger. He's 12 years younger than I am. He's the youngest of 6, I'm the oldest of 6. And in fact, he's flying here right now from Chicago. Steve's going to pick him up at midnight. And it's been a good life. There are a lot of some people with a lot worse stories. I'm not Christian or whatever, but since I was a little boy, an altar boy, way long ago, there's a phrase I've always brought to mind when I think I'm in trouble. And it's from the Bible, I guess. I've heard it a number of ways, but my simplified way is, I was complaining because I didn't have shoes. And I saw a guy with no feet. And in San Francisco, they have light-ups for MRIs and CAT scans. You light up in the hallway, and they just poof, poof, poof. And this light-up, a guy in front of me and a guy across the hall didn't have any hair, and their spouses were next to them, or significant others, so holding their hands, saying it's just for a short time. And they were obviously pretty upset. And chemo, they were doing one more MRI to see how far the cancer had either progressed or regressed. And, it could always be worse. At this point, I'm fortunate in that morphine is, for one thing, I'll at least be in comfort until the end of that. I'm not suffering pain. So, I've got more I want to do, more days to volunteer at Sequin, more speeches to give at Toastmasters, more time with you guys. But unfortunately, I'm not going to make those.
Okay, Carl.
Emotionally, I'm at rest I've done what I can, I've lived a good life, I'm a decent guy. A whole lot of people love me and I love them. May, our therapist, was happy that so many people, such a network, so many people praying for me. The clerks in Deluxe Foods, most of them are Catholics, go to Resurrection Church. They have formed a prayer group for me. I mean, the clerks in Deluxe Foods, of all things. I'm just a lucky guy. Very lucky. I just wish I had longer.
John and Wendy's here. Did you see John?
I can't
Carl.
see too right. Hello, John.
Wendy's here.
Hi, Wendy. I'm sure I have.
Okay, Carl, I'm going to turn this off and we'll do this some more.